A confession written on All Hallows Eve, 1887. I have been ringing death into existence for 33 years, and tonight I rang one toll too many. My name is Silas Whitmore. I am 67 years old. For half my life, I have served as bell ringer for St. Michael's Church, a position I inherited from my father, who inherited it from his father before him. 3 generations of Whitmores have climbed these stone stairs, entered this bell tower, and pulled the ropes that call the faithful to worship. But for the past 33 years, I have used those bells for another purpose. Every Halloween at midnight, I ring 33 tolls. The traditional death knell, the solemn count that announces a soul's departure from this world. But I am not mourning the recently dead. I am selecting the soon to die. Each toll represents a specific person I have judged worthy of death. The cruel, the corrupt, the wicked. I ring for them and they die, without fail, within the year. Every single one. 33 years, 33 tolls each year. 1,089 people dead by my judgment. But this year, something went wrong. This year, I rang 34 times. And now, as I sit in the bell tower listening to the midnight hour approach, I understand what I have done. I understand that the 34th toll was not an accident, that it rang itself, that something else pulled the rope alongside me. And I understand who that final toll was meant for. Let me explain how this began. Welcome to Fright Club. Subscribe for more darkness. Comment where you're watching from. Now, the beginning. October 31st, 1854. I was 34 years old, newly appointed as bell ringer after my father's death that spring. I had been training for the position my entire life, learning the proper techniques, the traditional patterns, the significance of each toll and sequence. But there was one tradition my father had never explained. One aspect of the bell ringer's duty he had kept secret until his final week, when illness had loosened his tongue and weakened his resistance to confession. The Halloween toll, he whispered from his deathbed. You must continue it. You must ring for the wicked. I thought he was delirious, the fever speaking through him. Father, rest. Don't try to talk. Listen. His hand gripped mine with surprising strength. Every Halloween at midnight, ring 33 tolls. The number is specific, symbolic, Christ's age at death, the death knell for those who deserve it. I don't understand. You will select them throughout the year. Those who wrong others, who cause suffering, who poison the community with their presence. You will remember them, and on Halloween, you will ring for them, 1 toll for each, and they will die before the next Halloween, without fail. That's superstition. Bells don't kill people. The bells don't kill. The ringing is merely the pronouncement, the judgment, the declaration that their time has come. His eyes fixed on mine with terrible intensity. It's the bell ringer's burden, the secret duty passed down through generations. We don't just call the faithful to worship, we call the wicked to death. He died the next morning, taking with him any further explanation. I dismissed his words as fever dreams, continued my duties as normal, rang the bells for services, for weddings, for funerals. Nothing unusual, nothing sinister. But as Halloween approached that first year, I found myself thinking about what he had said, found myself remembering people I had encountered during the year, people who had caused harm, inflicted suffering, escaped earthly justice. Marcus Thornwell, who beat his wife until she could barely walk. Gerald Price, who cheated widows out of their inheritance through fraudulent contracts. Sarah Blackwood, who poisoned neighborhood cats for sport and laughed about it. 33 people in total. 33 instances of cruelty or corruption I had witnessed over the course of the year. On Halloween night 1854, at midnight, I climbed to the bell tower. I told myself I was simply honoring my father's memory, performing a harmless ritual. Nothing would come of it. I rang 33 tolls, and within the year, all 33 people died. Marcus Thornwell died first, December 1854, fell down his own stairs and broke his neck. The town called it tragic accident. I knew better. Gerald Price died in March 1855, heart failure while meeting with a potential victim, collapsed at his desk, dead before help arrived. Sarah Blackwood died in June, a wasting disease that consumed her in weeks. The doctors could not identify the cause. By October 1855, all 33 were dead. Every single person I had rung for on that Halloween midnight. It could have been coincidence. 33 people dying in a town of several thousand over the course of a year was not statistically impossible, but I knew. On some level, that transcended reason or evidence. I knew. The tolls had killed them. Or rather, the tolls had declared them dead, and death had obliged. I should have stopped. Should have refused to continue the tradition. Should have let the power, if power it was, die with my father's generation. But I did not stop, because I had seen the results, had seen the cruel and corrupt removed from the community, had seen justice dispensed to those who escaped legal consequence, and I wanted to continue dispensing it. Every year, I made my selections carefully. I observed the town throughout the 12 months, noted those who caused suffering, catalogued cruelty, documented wickedness. I did not ring for simple sins, not for gossip or pride or minor failings, only for genuine harm, for violence, fraud, deliberate cruelty, for actions that damaged others while the perpetrator escaped punishment. I became a shadow judge, a secret executioner, a force for justice operating beyond the reach of law. And it worked. Year after year, the tolls brought death to those I selected. I kept records, a private journal locked in my desk, documenting each year's selections. Name, crime, date of toll, date of death. 33 entries every year for 33 years. The pattern never varied. Every person I rang for died within 12 months, some quickly, some slowly, some in accidents, some of disease, some simply stopped living without apparent cause, but all died, without exception, without failure. I told myself I was doing good, that I was protecting the community, that someone needed to ensure the wicked did not prosper. And perhaps I was right. Perhaps the world was better for my intervention. Perhaps justice served in secret is still justice. But I was also playing God, deciding who deserved life and who deserved death, executing judgment without trial, without appeal, without mercy. And tonight, I have learned the price of such presumption. This year, my 33rd year as bell ringer, I made my selections as always. By October, I had identified 33 people worthy of the death toll. Richard Crane, who embezzled from the church building fund, leaving the repairs unfinished and the roof leaking. Margaret Thornton, who systematically poisoned her elderly mother to hasten her inheritance. Thomas Webb, who ran a sweatshop where children worked 16-hour days in dangerous conditions. 33 names in total. 33 people whose deaths would improve the world, or so I judged. On Halloween night, I climbed the stairs to the bell tower at 11:30. I needed time to prepare, to review my list, to ensure I was ready for the midnight ritual. The tower was dark except for the lamp I carried. The great bell hung silent above me, a massive bronze presence that dominated the small space. The rope dangled before me, worn smooth by generations of hands, my father's hands, my grandfather's hands, my own hands for 33 years. I set down my lamp, pulled out my journal, reviewed the names one final time. At 5 minutes to midnight, I took hold of the rope. At midnight exactly, I began to ring. 1. Richard Crane. 2. Margaret Thornton. 3. Thomas Webb. Each toll resonated through the tower, through the church below, through the town sleeping around us. The traditional death knell, the sound that announced finality. I counted carefully, kept perfect rhythm. 30 years of practice made the process automatic. 10 tolls, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33. I released the rope. The final toll echoed into silence. The bell swayed gently overhead, its voice fading into the October night. It was done. Another year of judgment completed. I reached for my lamp to descend the stairs. The bell rang again. A single toll, clear and resonant. Though I had released the rope, though I stood 3 feet away from it, the bell rang. 34. I stood frozen, staring at the bell as its tone faded into silence. The rope hung motionless. No wind moved it. No mechanism explained it. The bell had rung itself, producing a 34th toll without any human agency. No, I whispered. That wasn't me. I didn't ring that. I stopped at 33. But the toll had sounded, clear and unmistakable. A 34th name added to the list. I grabbed my journal with shaking hands, looking at my entries. 33 names, 33 people selected for death. No 34th. No one left to ring for. So who was the 34th toll meant for? The answer came immediately, with terrible certainty. Me. I had been selecting the wicked for 33 years, judging, condemning, executing, never considering that I might deserve the same judgment I dispensed so freely to others. But I did deserve it. I was a murderer, a mass murderer. 1,089 deaths over 33 years, all by my hand. That I had killed through mystical means rather than physical violence did not absolve me. That I had killed the wicked rather than the innocent did not justify me. That I had acted from perceived righteousness rather than malice did not excuse me. I had played God. And now God, or whatever power animated the bells, was playing me. I needed to leave, to flee the tower. To escape whatever consequences that 34th toll had set in motion. I moved toward the stairs. The bell rang again. Not a full toll this time. Just a soft resonance, a gentle chime that seemed to be calling me back, warning me, stay, don't leave, it's not finished yet. I have to go, I said aloud, my voice echoing strangely in the confined space. I didn't ring for myself. I didn't consent to this. The bell rang again, louder, insistent, and I realized I was not alone in the tower. I could not see it, could not hear it breathing or moving, but I felt its presence, something occupying the space between me and the stairs, blocking my exit, forcing me to remain. Something that had always been there, I realized, waiting, watching. Every Halloween for 33 years, this presence had been in the tower with me, listening as I rang the tolls, recording the names, executing the judgments. I had thought I was the power behind the bells, the agent of death, the judge and executioner. But I was only the instrument, the rope in human form, pulled by something else to produce the tolls it wanted. Who are you? I asked the darkness. The bell rang, a different tone this time. Not the death knell, but something older, deeper. The sound held layering, harmonics, as though multiple bells were ringing at once, though only one existed. And in those harmonics, I heard a voice. Not words exactly, but meaning conveyed through vibration and tone. I am the toll, the judgment, the consequence. Are you death? I am what comes before death. The declaration, the pronouncement. Death merely fulfills what I announce. Then the bells don't kill, they just predict. They do not predict, they decide. I decide. Through you. Through every bell ringer who has served this tower for 300 years. 300 years. My family had been ringing these bells for only 3 generations, but the church was far older, the tower older still. How many? I asked. How many bell ringers before me? 11. And they all did what I did, rang the death tolls, selected the wicked. They served as instruments, as you have served, pulling the rope, naming the names, thinking themselves agents of justice. But we're not. We're just puppets. You are collaborators. I provide the power. You provide the judgments. We work together to maintain balance, to remove corruption, to cleanse the community of those who poison it. But if you have the power, why do you need us? Why not simply kill the wicked yourself? The harmonics shifted. The bell's tone changed to something almost like laughter. Because judgment requires choice, discernment, humanity. I can execute, I cannot judge. That requires moral reasoning, ethical consideration, knowledge of context and circumstance. You provide the judgment, I provide the execution. Together, we create justice. But it's not justice, it's murder. Is it murder to execute a convicted criminal? You convict through observation and documentation. I execute through inevitability. The process is sound. No trial, no defense, no appeal, no corruption, no bribery, no escape for the wealthy and connected. Perfect justice, unconstrained by human weakness. I wanted to argue, to insist that this was wrong, that what I had been doing for 33 years was fundamentally immoral regardless of the outcome. But I had collaborated willingly, had selected names carefully, had rung tolls knowing what would follow. I was guilty as any of the 1,000 people I had condemned. The 34th toll, I said. It's for me, isn't it? Because I've become what I was judging, because I'm wicked too. The bell's tone changed again, became almost gentle. No, the 34th toll is not for you. Relief flooded through me. Not for me, not condemned. Not, the 34th toll is by you. One more name, one more judgment, the final selection to complete your service. I don't understand. I've already rung 33. I've made my selections for this year. One remains, the most important, the one you've been avoiding for 33 years. And I understood. You want me to ring for myself. I want you to judge yourself, as you have judged others, to decide whether Silas Whitmore, who has killed 1,089 people, deserves life or death. If I judge myself worthy of death, the 34th toll will kill me. Yes. And if I judge myself innocent, if I refuse to ring, then you will continue. 34 tolls next year, 35 the year after, accumulating judgments, accumulating guilt, until eventually you ring for yourself because you can no longer bear what you have become. So my choices are, die now or die later after becoming even worse. Your choices are, accept responsibility now or continue evading it until evasion becomes impossible. I looked at the rope hanging before me, the same rope I had pulled for 33 years, the same mechanism I had used to bring death to 1,089 people. Now it asked me to bring death to myself. I was trying to do good, I said. I selected the cruel, the corrupt, the wicked. I tried to protect people, to make the community better. Intentions do not absolve actions. You killed. You judged without authority. You executed without trial. You became exactly what you claimed to oppose, a force of destruction disguised as righteousness. But some of them deserved to die. Some of them were genuinely evil. Wasn't the world better without them? That is not for you to decide. You are not God. You are not justice. You are simply a man who found power and used it to satisfy his own sense of righteousness. The words struck like physical blows because they were true, because I had spent 33 years telling myself I was special, chosen, serving a higher purpose. But I was simply a murderer with mystical means. What about you? I asked. You're the power behind this. You're the one who actually kills. Why aren't you judged? Why don't you toll for yourself? The bell rang with that harmonic laughter again. I am not human. I do not have human ethics or human guilt. I am simply force, power, consequence. I require no judgment because I make no choices. I only fulfill what is announced. You make the choices. You carry the responsibility. You answer for what you have done. By killing myself, by judging yourself as you have judged others. If you conclude you deserve life, refuse the toll. But know that you will carry this guilt forever, that it will compound with each passing year, that eventually it will crush you under its weight. Or ring the toll. Accept responsibility. Pay the price for 33 years of playing God. I stood in the darkness of the bell tower, the rope before me, the choice laid bare. I thought of all the people I had rung for. The cruel and corrupt, yes, but also the merely flawed. The ones whose crimes were perhaps not severe enough to warrant death. The ones I had judged in moments of anger or self-righteousness. I thought of the families destroyed, the children left without parents, the spouses made widows and widowers, the ripples of grief and loss spreading from each toll I had rung. 1,089 deaths, 1,089 judgments made by a man with no authority, no training, no wisdom beyond his own limited understanding. I had become a monster, a killer who hid behind righteousness and tradition, and I knew what judgment I deserved. I took hold of the rope. If I ring this toll, I said, I die within the year, like all the others. Yes. How? What will kill me? That is not revealed. Death will come when and how it must, but it will come. And if I don't ring, if I walk away right now, the 34th toll has already been declared. By me, if not by you. It exists. It requires a name. If you do not assign it to yourself, I will assign it to another. Someone you love. Someone innocent. Someone who will die for your cowardice. That's not justice. That's extortion. That is consequence. Every action has its price. 33 years of judgment demand payment. Either you pay with your own life or someone else pays for you. I closed my eyes, thought of my daughter, Elizabeth, 40 years old, married, 3 children of her own. A good woman who had never harmed anyone, who volunteered at the hospital, who brought joy to everyone she met. I thought of her children, my grandchildren, innocent and sweet, and untouched by the evil I had brought into the world. Would the toll take one of them if I refused to take it myself? You're forcing my choice. I am clarifying your choice. You were always going to ring this toll. You knew it the moment you heard it. You knew that 33 years of murder required payment. You were simply hoping to delay, to evade, to avoid responsibility a little longer. The bell was right. I had known, from the moment that extra toll rang, what would be required. I pulled the rope. The bell rang. The 34th toll sounded through the tower, through the church, through the town sleeping around us. And I felt it. Felt the toll settle into my bones, into my blood, into the core of my being. Felt the declaration of death inscribed into my flesh. Within 1 year, I would die. The toll had been rung, the judgment announced. I released the rope and sank to the floor. "It's done," I whispered. "It is done. Your service is complete. You may descend." What happens now? To the bells? To the tolls? They will continue. Another bell ringer will be appointed. Another instrument will be found. The work does not end simply because you end. You'll corrupt someone else, make them into what you made me. I will offer power to someone who desires it. What they do with that power is their choice, as it was always your choice. It wasn't a choice. You manipulated me, used my father's dying words to compel me. I offered. You accepted. For 33 years, you could have stopped, could have refused to ring, could have broken the pattern. You never did, because you enjoyed it, enjoyed the power, enjoyed playing judge, enjoyed deciding who lived and who died. Own what you did, Silas Whitmore. Own what you were. Die with that knowledge. The presence faded. The weight in the air lifted. I was alone in the bell tower once more, just myself and the rope and the bell and the darkness. I gathered my lamp and my journal and descended the stairs. I did not know when death would come, only that it would, and that I deserved it. It is now November 15th, 1887, 2 weeks since I rang the 34th toll. I am dying. It started with a cough, then fever, then pain that radiates through my chest and makes each breath an agony. The doctor calls it consumption, says I have perhaps a month remaining, says the progression is unusually rapid, as though the disease has been advancing for years, but only now makes itself known. I know better. The toll is fulfilling itself. Death is coming, as promised. My daughter sits by my bedside, holding my hand, reading to me. She does not know what I have done, does not understand that I am a mass murderer who deserves this suffering and worse. She thinks I am a good man, a faithful servant of the church, a devoted father and grandfather. I should tell her the truth, should confess before I die, should let her know what I really was. But I am too much a coward. Even now, even facing death, I cannot bring myself to destroy her image of me. So I will die with the secret, die with the guilt, die without confession or absolution. I write this document not for forgiveness, I deserve none, but for record, so that someone, someday, will know what I did in that bell tower. What power exists in those bells? What corruption can hide behind righteousness? To whoever reads this, if you are offered the rope, if you are invited to ring the tolls, refuse. The power is real, the consequences are terrible, and the price is your soul. Do not make my mistake. Do not play God. Do not judge, because eventually you will be judged in turn, and the toll you ring may be your own. Final entry, November 30th, 1887. I die tonight. I can feel it. The certainty of the toll, the inevitability I imposed on 1,089 others, now imposed on me. Elizabeth sits beside me, sleeping in the chair, exhausted from days of vigil. The grandchildren are downstairs with her husband. The house is quiet, except for my labored breathing. I hear it now. The sound I have heard in my mind for 2 weeks, but which is now audible, physical, real. A bell tolling. Not the church bell. Something else. something that rings not through air, but through bone and blood and spirit. The 34th toll, ringing for me, announcing that my time has come. I do not fight it, do not pray for mercy or deliverance. I accept it as I forced 1,089 others to accept it. The toll rings louder, resonates through my body. I feel my heart struggling, missing beats, failing. Elizabeth stirs, opens her eyes, sees my distress. Father, hold on, I'll get the doctor. No, I grip her hand. Stay, please, just stay. She sits back down, tears in her eyes. I'm here, I'm not leaving. The toll rings again, louder still, and in its resonance I hear all the other tolls. 1,089 voices crying out, demanding recognition, demanding acknowledgement. All the people I killed, all the judgments I made, all the deaths I caused, they ring with me now. A chorus of condemnation, a symphony of guilt. I'm sorry, I whisper, though Elizabeth thinks I'm speaking to her. I'm so sorry for what I did. The tolls reach crescendo. Every bell in every tower, in every church across time and space, all ringing at once, all announcing the same thing. Silas Whitmore is dead. And then silence. My heart stops. My breath ceases. The pain releases. I die as I made others die. Inevitably, inescapably, announced by a toll that no living person but myself could hear. And as consciousness fades, I hear one final sound. The church bell, the real one, ringing once more. Not 33 tolls, not 34, just one. A single toll. The death knell for the bell ringer himself. And in that toll, I hear the beginning of the next cycle. The next bell ringer ascending the stairs. The next instrument taking hold of the rope. The next 33 years of judgment. The power does not die with me. It never dies. It only waits for the next person willing to pull the rope. God help them. God help us all. Silas Whitmore died November 30th, 1887, of consumption. His death was expected and unremarkable. He was buried in the churchyard of St. Michael's with full honours befitting a long-time servant of the church. This confession was found among his papers in 1920 during renovation of the bell tower. Church officials initially dismissed it as delusional ramblings produced by terminal illness. However, a researcher compared Whitmore's journal entries with death records from 1854, 1887, and found disturbing correlations. The 33 names listed each year showed a mortality rate within 12 months of listing that was statistically impossible to attribute to chance. Further investigation revealed similar patterns extending back 300 years, coinciding with the tenure of 11 previous bell ringers. Each bell ringer served an average of 30 years. Each died within 1 year of their service ending. And during each bell ringer's tenure, death rates in the community showed unusual spikes among individuals accused of wrongdoing. The bell tower was sealed in 1921 and has remained closed ever since. The bells are no longer rung, even for regular services. Electronic chimes were installed as replacement. But every Halloween at midnight, locals report hearing bells. 33 tolls, traditional death knell pattern. Though no physical bell is ringing, the sound comes from inside the sealed tower, and sometimes, rarely but consistently, 34 tolls ring instead of 33. When this happens, someone in town dies within the year, always someone accused of wrongdoing, always someone who escaped official justice, as though the bells continue their work, even without a bell ringer, as though judgment requires no human agent, as though the power simply waits. St. Michael's Church has had no official bell ringer since Silas Whitmore's death in 1887, but every few years, someone volunteers for the position. applies to reopen the tower, requests access to the bells. The church always refuses, because they know what waits in that tower, what has always waited, what will always wait: the rope, the bell, the power, and the choice to pull it.